Hey, it's 11:40 The Bet Las Vegas, and before the NBA world goes on vacation at the conclusion of Summer League, we have to check in and speak with one of the realest in the game from the All the Smoke podcast and Showtime Basketball and
Yo,
ESPN. It's Matt Barnes. Matt, what's cracking?
hey, how you doing?
Hey, we're doing good, and as always, all guests brought to us by BetQL. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download your BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. First off, Matt, I want to ask you, man. You and Steven Jackson really opened up a lot of doors with the All the Smoke podcast, and now you got your own lane. How did it come to be, and when did you guys realize that y'all really have something with the podcast?
We were both, fresh out of the game and, doing Fox and ESPN work back and forth and just found a lot of positive feedback from our fans and our colleagues. And I was just thinking, obviously this is fun, but where is something we can really, tailor to who we really are and really be our true, authentic selves. And I came up with the idea to do a podcast. A friend of mine connected me with someone at Showtime. I pitched the idea to Jack. He loved it. And literally, it sounds crazy because it was really that simple. Came with the idea, pitched it to Showtime. They had a new basketball department. They took it, not really knowing what we had because I didn't even know what we had. And, we turned it into something special.
And you're right, man. There's a lot of moments from the podcast, and I think the one that probably sticks out to everyone is, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's like one of the last interviews that Kobe Bryant did before he passed away. Personally, the Kevin Garnett one that you guys had was my favorite, but for you, what was the favorite one that you got to do?
Obviously, doing Cole's last interview was a special place in my heart, but I think, we've been so fortunate to have the who's who in not only basketball, but across several different spaces, from music to television, to movies, to athletes. So, they've all been amazing. I'm just blessed that people, give us the time and have the ability to kind of really let their guard down, and we get, the type of interviews that other places don't really get the opportunity to.
No, 100%. And speaking of, as I said at the beginning, you guys have kind of opened up the lane, and now we have what Draymond Green's called is new media. I kind of want to get your perspective as Draymond, CJ McCollum at the end of this season kind of are doing podcasts as they're playing, and obviously Draymond getting into it with Kendrick Perkins. What do you think of everything that's going on with that and that change?
I just think this is the new wave. Never before has athletes had the ability to really talk directly to their fans during the season, right after games, or whenever they want, like they can now. And, whether some people hate it, think they're doing too much talking to their teams, or love it, it's the ability that athletes haven't had in the past. So I particularly love it. I think for so long that other people try to tell our stories and narrate our games that haven't actually done it. And I have no problem with people who haven't done it. But at the same time, if I'm a fan, I want to hear from someone who's actually done it. So I think that's what, the fans get, and I think they appreciate it.
Yo, Matt, I do want to ask you, there's been a lot of hype, a lot of conversation about an NBA team here in Las Vegas and Seattle. Number one, do you see it happening? Number two, when do you see it happening?
Yeah, I do see it happening. I think it's important. I think Seattle is a beautiful city with a good, great fan base. And then you hear LeBron wants to get into ownership and possibly take a team to Vegas, So I just think the expansion of the league is always great, particularly into, Las Vegas now with gambling being such a main focus in sports. And then again, like I said, all the great things about Seattle. So I think it will happen probably within the next 2 to 5 years.
Got you. And before we get into some questions about everything going on here in the league, I wanted to ask one about your playing career. And I know it's cliche. You've probably been asked a lot about who was the hardest to defend. But yesterday we had Tracy McGrady on the show, and I asked him, who is the one person that offensively you knew that you had to make your move because you knew if you made an extra dribble, you made an extra move, they were going to get you like a Ron Artest. Who was the hardest defender for you offensively?
You said it right there. I think Ron Artest. Because he was someone, even if you got by him, he had the ability to reach around you and still get it. Really fast hands, fast feet, and, he was as strong as an ox. So he was tough. Tony Allen was tough, but I'd definitely say Ron.
And then now let's get into some things going on here in the league. Obviously, this Deandre Ayton these past 2 days has been going on. From your perspective, did the Suns really mess up this situation? Is it fixable?
I mean, it's hard to say who the blame is on because, you hear stuff from, the organization. You hear stuff from players. You hear that he put on the team in the playoffs. So, I'm not being in the situation. I don't know what to believe. But what I do know is I know he's a big piece to that team. And I think that, he's really coming to his own, and he's probably a top 5 in the league that lacks big man play. He's, to me, a top 5 big man in the game. And I think, if they lose him, that's going to be a major blow to anything they're trying to do.
Kevin Durant staying in Brooklyn?
I know he wants to leave, and there's obviously some places he wants to go, but I just think it's going to be hard for a team to really give Brooklyn everything they're looking for. When the Rudy Gobert situation happened and they got all that from Rudy Gobert, you're thinking, okay, well, Kevin Durant is night and day, with all due respect, the player that Rudy Gobert is. So, what's going to be the asking price for Kevin Durant? So, although he wants to move, for his happiness, I hope he does, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't.
By the way, this just came out. I guess the Jazz want 8 picks from the Knicks for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy out here. 2 more questions before we get you out of here, Matt, and thank you so much for the time. Since we are here and summer league's going on, who's the standout player for you?
I think Paolo has been. I got a chance to catch the first few games, and just his size, his strength, his versatility, his ability to make plays for his teammates while also getting a bucket, taking the challenge on the defensive end. I really like what I saw Paolo out of his first few games out here.
And my last question, as you've built this podcast, All the Smoke, you're on ESPN, you're coaching your kids, you're being a parent, you've done a million interviews during Summer League. Where do you find your balance?
Man, it's tough. You know what I mean? Because I'm blessed to be able to do all those great things you just mentioned, and be paid good money for it. So although I'm constantly busy and I'm always on the move and I haven't been home in like 3 weeks.
Damn.
I just try to find, my downtime, when I'm by myself. I'm a firm believer that, I've always used cannabis since the time I was in high school, through college, through the NBA, to kind of find my solace, my peace, and be able to center myself. So, at the end of the night, have a drink, have a joint, and really kind of just unwind and prepare for the next day, because it's, I'm back at it, the next morning. Most of the time it's 7 a.m. with the kids.
And I do want to say, man, and that's the same thing as I'm building this show with Lindsay, who's not here right now, and being a dad. Like, it's admirable seeing your grind and everything after your playing career. And before you get out of here real quick, I want to tell you a little story. 2016, you're with the Kings. I'm in Phoenix. I'm working at a radio station, the street team, working minimum wage. We're at the season opener. You're on the Kings. You're playing the Suns. It's about an hour before the game starts. We're at the tent in the front of the arena. You walk through and you took time to post this picture. So it's crazy 6 years later to be able on this platform and to have you on there. I didn't expect to see you coming through, but I appreciate it, and I appreciate you making the time right now, man.
No doubt, man. Good luck with your show.
Yes, sir. Matt Barnes checking in. We appreciate you. Be easy. There it is, Matt Barnes from ESPN All the Smoke podcast. And, of course, all guests are brought to us by BetQL. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download your BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. Coming up, it's either sports or it's other things. We got you on the Friday. It's 11:40 The Bet.